10 out of, like, 20, was it 23 or something like that? I did not do good this past weekend at the Critics' Choice, and I think no one really didn't do well, because who was expecting, like, Jacob Elordi to win Best Supporting Actor there? That's interesting. So, they actually didn't win a little bit of directions on some of them, but they also kind of went a bit as critics instead of Oscar predictors in a lot of the categories. So, that one is out of the way, and now we come into the other big industry, non-industry award show that the people in the industry do attend to, but no voters have any correlations with the Oscars whatsoever, and that is, of course, the 83rd Annual Golden Globe Awards, which is usually the first one, but this year it's the second one, since the Critics' Choice just did it this past Sunday. And, of course, this will be on CBS, of course, and on Paramount Plus. And for, I believe, for the second consecutive year, the comedian herself, Nikki Glaser, will host the ceremony. And this is the other award show that does both television and movies. But, of course, we are only going to be doing the film side of the ceremony here only. Oh yeah, they even added a podcast series in the digital audio realms that has nothing to do with television. So, I don't know why it's in there. Like, still, couldn't they just get rid of one specific category in the movie side? I think that would have made a lot of sense. Or maybe they should just start splitting the television and the movie award shows into separate ceremonies, like what the Critics' Choice used to do, but now they're kind of copying what the Globes and SAG do. And you can even say Film Independent Spirits. But we're not here to do that. We'll be doing, of course, our predictions for this year's Golden Globes. Once again, I'll be using the Awards Expert app on how the average rating user would be and see who is the favorite on this specific day. I'm recording this on January 6th, so this is going to be almost less than 5 days from now, or basically 4 when this video will be released on the 7th. So that means we're going to kick this up, and before we begin the predictions, there is always the big special movie achievement award that usually is, which is the Cecily DeMille Award, and that is going to none other than Helen Mirren. So she will be the recipient of the Cecily DeMille Award in the film side. I know there's the Carol Burnett Award in the television side, but that's not what we're going to be focusing on. So we begin with the movie predictions with the Dumb Award, as I call it. I don't call it by its actual name. It's the Dumb Award. Yeah. Why did they thought of this? This was just for ratings purposes. I mean, they didn't even nominate that Taylor Swift release film that was released in the same day that album came out. Because it did well in its domestic box office opening weekend. It's not here. I just found that kind of funny because I was kind of predicting that to get nominated, but as a joke. But nope, they didn't do that. As of this day, with 3,335 users in terms of the predictions, Sinners is the favorite to predict right now with 77%, which went up to 33%, with Wicked for Good, which went down to 33%. Now it's at 11%. Followed by Avatar Fire and Ash, which got nominated before it came out at 7%. Zootopia 2 at 3%. F1 the movie at 1%. And then K-Pop Demon Hunters, even though it's not a achievement because it never was released in theaters, 2%, which went up to 1%. So, Weapons and Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, nothing. So yeah, it's kind of showing the massive difference here that this was almost tended to be like Wicked for Good's award, I guess, because now it doesn't really make sense anymore since it's not up for motion picture, music, or comedy. But this is almost basically like this is your award. We're going to give you this instead of the big motion picture category. Like we saw with Barbie not winning comedy or musical, as they gave it to Poor Things, so they gave them this. And last year with Wicked getting this award, and Emilia Paris taking the motion picture, comedy, or musical category. This year, there's only one motion picture nominee, if you're not counting the motion picture animated category as a big one. Since this is basically going to be saying, this is our way to give you this instead of Best Motion Picture Drama, I am going to go with Sinners on this one. It's just like, if this category didn't exist, I would have said a lot more on Sinners in the motion picture drama category, honestly. But, yeah, this is probably going to be the big consolation prize for Sinners, as this achievement, instead of being a motion picture drama, will win. So, Kugor is definitely not going to be happy about this. Now it's time for the only two technical categories they have, the music ones, with original song. And Golden from K-Pop Demon Hunters is the favorite to win with 61%, which went up to 20%. With I Lie to You from Sinners, went down 18%, now at 36%. The Girl in the Bubble from Wicked for Good at 2%, and No Place Like Home from Wicked for Good at 1%. So Train Dreams from Train Dreams, and Dream is one from Avatar Fire and Ash. Also have nothing. I almost want to say I Lied to You, but yeah, because of what I did, I have to go with Golden on this one. I just don't think that, I would say I would be more confident because I was originally predicting Golden to get snubbed for Best Original Song, honestly. But now with its Critics' Choice win, and it's guaranteed going to win this, it is up for Song of the Year at the Grammys. Yeah, I think, depending on how many Grammy voters are members of the music branch of the Oscars, I think they would nominate Golden. So yeah, I think this is going to be probably the song to lose instead of one of the Sinner songs. Even though I Lied to You would make the most sense, but the popularity of Golden's just getting on high. Now on to original score, and Sinners is the favorite to win with 80 to predict specifically with 80%, which went up to 9, with One Battle After Another going down 8%, now it's 17. Hamnet at 1, as well as I've won the movie, and Seurat with 1, which went up to 1%. So Frankenstein has nothing. Yeah, I think, yeah, Ludwig Göransson might be the new John Williams, ladies and gentlemen. He's now going to go 3-0 at the Oscars for original score. I should have said Sinners for the Critics' Choice, but I went with the One Battle After Another thing. Yeah, I think Ludwig Göransson is definitely going to be undefeated in this category again, even though he didn't sweep in 2018 when he won for Black Panther. So yeah, less than 2 years after he won for Oppenheimer, he's going to win again for Sinners, and his second time for a Ryan Coogler movie. On to the screenplay here, and this one is pretty open here, as you can see here. Out of 2,981 users that have predicted this, One Battle After Another, our adapted screenplay frontrunner, is the favorite to win at the moment to predict at 74%, but went down to 5%. Sinners went up to 5% and is at 9%. Same thing with It Was Just an Accident at 9%, which went up to 4%. Sentimental Value at 6%, which went down to 1%. Hamnet at 1%, which went down to 2%, and Marty Supreme at 1%. So there is like a couple of different percentages of a lot of people are saying One Battle After Another or Sinners, like our two adapted or original screenplay frontrunners. However, I am going to be calling an upset move on this one here because this will determine like how much the Globe's voters have changed a bit. Now, one thing to note, I think I did not say this at the beginning of this video, the Globes did their final voting, I believe, from what I heard, this past Saturday. So they will not have, so the Critics' Choice wins will not have any influence in this ceremony. So the Globes voters, who are probably not Critics' Choice voters, will not cross over anything when it comes to the movie sides, except for maybe on the television side for some of them. But when it comes to the movie sides, they will not correlate. So they probably don't have an exchangement of what would go on. If the Globes was like the following weekend instead of next weekend and the voting was still going on, they probably would have copied a lot from the Critics' Choice. So, with that, I am going to call an upset on this one here and not go with neither our two screenplay frontrunners. I am going with one of the international films, and for some reason, it kind of makes sense, and maybe this would be the ceremony that will start the showing of this film's presence during the award season, especially it got shut out at the Critics' Choice Awards. I'm going to go with the upset here and go with Sentimental Value here, just to show that we are in a different part of the Golden Globe Awards. So I am going to go with the upset and go with the Eskil Bach and Joachim Trier for Sentimental Value. Time for acting categories, and starting with supporting actress, out of 3,585 users that predicted, Tiana Taylor is right now the favorite to win, to predict, at 32%, which went up to 70%. But Amy Madigan is going up 20% right now, as she's currently at 31% as of January 6th, which is, as you can see by the screenshot that I took, at least by 5:01 p.m. on the 6th. So Madigan might go up to number 1 by the time this video comes out, or by later closer in the week. Grande went down to 28%, now at 24%. And both the Sentimental Value ladies, with Lilius at 11%, which went up to 4%, and Elle Fanning at 1%, which went down to 1%. So Emily Blunt, sorry. Yeah, the thing about it is, so the Critics' Choice did went the right way as critics. They went with Amy Madigan. So instead of going with the Grande thing. Now, I could have almost would have said Grande if it was the Globes in the past. And since Wicked for Good is not up for Best Picture, Comedy or Musical, I'm going to go with the safer bet and go with Tiana Taylor on this one. I think because this category I think is still open, by the way. And by the time this video is going to be released, I think the SAG nominations will be out. I believe it's either the 7th, the day of when the video is being released, or that's PG or DGA. But sometime, those 3 ceremonies will have their nominations, as well as the BAFTA long list by when we get to this weekend. So I'm going to go with the safe bet and say Tiana Taylor in this one, and I think this will start her first win of the season. If Madigan takes this, you got to get a little bit more support with the movie in general. And Weapons' only nomination is for the dumb category. It's not up for motion picture drama. Julia Garner's not up for actress in a drama, so I'm just going to go with Tiana Taylor on this one. Here's another category that is open in the race, supporting actor, and Stellan Skarsgård is the favorite to predict out of 3,193 predictions at 64%, but went down to 5 as Benicio del Toro is coming up 12%, who is now at 18. Sean Penn at 11, which went down to 8. Jacob Elordi at 5, which went up to 4 after, most likely he won after the Critics' Choice. And Paul Mescal at 1%, which went down to 2. I was originally going to go with Paul Mescal in this, originally. But obviously, I would have said that if the Globes was the first ceremony. And since the Critics' Choice was, it kind of gives it a little bit open. I don't think, even though they really did took to Frankenstein, because they nominated Oscar Isaac for actor in a drama and Del Toro for director, I think that might be, I think the Critics' Choice just really took to it in a technical wise. And maybe Elordi could be the best bet for the movie to win something, because it's not winning directing or Oscar Isaac or motion picture drama. I am going to go with Stellan Skarsgård on this one here. I feel like this category will also be open, because I think Mescal, I would say, is out front for BAFTA, even though we haven't yet to get the short list. But I would say the supporting rate categories are going to be open, I would say, not just when we get to Oscar nominations, but by the time after the BAFTA nominations and maybe SAG. But then again, the SAG Awards are going to be 5 days before Oscar voting closes. So probably a lot of people would have voted after the BAFTAs. But it's going to be kind of a curveball. But I'm going to go with Skarsgård here. And we'll see what might change to an open supporting races for both the actress and the actor categories. Okay, now into the leading side, starting with actress in a comedy or musical. This changed a lot, I would say, and right now, Rose Byrne is the favorite to predict at 3,483 predictions, which really went up to 47%. Amanda Seyfried went down to 19% at 5. Emily Stone at 3, which went down to 2. Jason Finney in her supporting performance went to 3. Arrivo was 3, went down to 25. I really think she was originally the front runner for a long, long time. Until when the movie came out. So, yeah, you would have said Arrivo at first glance, but then the movie didn't work well. You would have said Amanda Seyfried, but I don't think she's getting the Oscar nomination anymore after The Testament of Van Lee got shut out on the short list. So the toss-up is between Rose Byrne and Emily Stone. I was going to go, and by the way, yes, I do go by Emily Stone by her real name. I was tempted to go with Stone originally, because Begonia is the only film on this lineup that is up for Best Motion Picture, other than One Battle After Another, of course. I forgot about that, but I'm going to lean towards Rose Byrne. A lot of people thought she was going to win a Critics' Choice, which I did not predict. I did predict it Buckley. But I think that and the Independent Spirit Awards are probably, unless I'm mistaking something in the Best Act, in the lead performance category, I think this will be her big win of the entire season, because Buckley is going to take SAG, BAFTA, and the Oscar the whole way through. So this is basically, you're the second place runner-up in the entire season, or if it would be Emily Stone. But if somehow Seifert wins, I could almost see her not making it. Because most of the time, if you win the comedy or musical Golden Globe, you either A, become second place, like we saw with Demi Moore last year, or you don't get nominated in general. But then again, last year's Oscar winner for Best Actress lost to this category and still went on to win the Oscar. So, but that's kind of a very much of a rarity on that point. So, I'm going to go with a safe bet and say Rose Byrne. Even though If I Had Legs, I Kick You is not up for motion picture comedy, I think she's been getting a lot of momentum with all the critic wins she's been getting. Actor in a musical or comedy, Chalamet. Timothy Chalamet. It's just comedy in general here because there's no musicals on this lineup, but yeah, I'm going to say Chalamet on this one. 73%, even though it went down to 8 out of 3,142 predictions. DiCaprio at 17, Ethan Hawke at 8, which went up to 7, and then Jesse Plemons and Lee Byung-hun at 1%. But yeah, this one is pretty much a given. Even though DiCaprio has won a couple of other Globes in the past, like The Aviator and The Wolf of Wall Street, yeah, this is going to be, and The Revenant, this is Chalamet's. Actress in a drama, Jessie Buckley. I mean, look at this. Out of 3,625 predictions, 97% says Buckley, with a 2% going to Renate Reinsve, which could be a massive shocker. That could be the biggest surprise of the night, or probably the biggest upset of the night, but I'm not going that level right now, because if I did, I would be saying sentimental value for motion picture drama, but I'm not going to do that. And Jennifer Lawrence at 1%. Yeah, this is Buckley's. I don't think there's no competition here. Actor in a motion picture drama. Now, this one is going to be a little bit of an interesting battle between Michael B. Jordan in Sinners and Wagner Moura in The Secret Agent. Wagner Moura is the most likely to predict to win at 78%, which went down to 1 out of 3,314 predictions, with Michael B. Jordan at 20, which went up to 5. And then Joel Edgerton at 2, and Jeremy Allen White went down to 2%, now back at 0. Unless if he gets that SAG nomination, but we'll just have to see. Yeah, I think everyone had been saying about this, and especially now with the movie really being considered a Best Picture nominee candidate, especially since it is in motion picture drama. After they went with Fernando Torres last year, they're going to go with Wagner Moura here. So Brazil is going to win in a leading acting in a drama category again, this time in the actor side, this time with Wagner Moura. If the Globes was in the past, probably I would have said Michael B. Jordan. But since it's the Globes now, I'm going to go with Wagner Moura instead. For director, Paul Thomas Anderson. I mean, 94% and an average of 3,323 predictions, with Kluger at 3 and Zhao at 1, which went down to 1%, and Panani at 1%. Yeah, this is PTA's time. I mean, even though his only nomination prior to his picture and screenplay and directing nod for One Battle After Another was for screenplay for Licorice Pizza. So he has not been nominated. This is only technically his third nomination, because I don't think they don't count nominees in the motion picture categories. Yeah, this is going to be PTA's award here. Time for the motion picture categories here. And starting with motion picture animated, yeah, I have to say K-pop Demon Hunters. Favorite to win at 91%, which went up to 2. Average prediction rating of 3,245 predictions. Zootopia 2 at 4, which went down to 2. Little Amelie, or The Character of Ring, at 3. And Arco at 2. Now, I was originally going to go with an upset call in this and go with one of the independent films between Arco or Little Amelie. I really could see both one of those two can take the Globes, if it does show we are in a different era of the Globes. But the popularity of K-pop Demon Hunters thing is just so insane. I mean, if they're going to give it song, might as well give it motion picture animated as well. Now we come into what I would say would be the category of this year's Golden Globes Best Motion Picture Non-English Language. 4 of them are up in the main motion picture categories, with no other choice in the comedy side, and It Was Just an Accident, The Secret Agent, and Sentimental Value all on the drama side. Out of 3,106 predictions, Sentimental Value is the favorite to predict to win at 64%, but went down to 13%, with It Was Just an Accident at 23, which went up to 4, and The Secret Agent at 11, which went up to 9 after it won the Critics' Choice Award. But that was because, of course, Sentimental Value was not up there because of the stupid role the Critics' Choice decided to do. I think they are going to go with Sentimental Value on this one, because, especially since I am now predicting it for Screenplay and Stellan Skarsgård, it would be weird it takes those 2 wins, but not Motion Picture Non-English Language. Yeah, and the fact that it got 3 other acting nominations, plus the True the Directing Chair, I think it might be the 3rd place upset in the Best Motion Picture Drama category, if it does, but I think this is going to be Sentimental Value, but It Was Just an Accident and The Secret Agent are definitely kind of behind it. Now we're into the Best Motion Picture Comedy, since there is no musicals nominated here. One Battle After Another is the favorite to predict at 97%, which went up to 2, with an average prediction of 3,783 predictions, with Marty Supreme at 2 and Begonia at 1. Now, the thing about it is, when we're looking at the Globes' history, so far in the first half of the decade, 3 of our Best Picture Oscar winners did not win at the Globes, with Coda on the drama side, and Everything Everywhere All at Once and Anora on the comedy your musical side. I mean, Anora got shot at the Globes and went on to win 5 out of 6 Oscars. Marty Supreme could be the upset here, and this just would be saying, okay, this is your big prize, we're going to give it to you, especially Marty Supreme could be a lot of last-minute votes for a lot of these voters, because it was like probably one of the last movies a lot of people had to watch, because it was released on Christmas. But I'm going to go with the safer bet and say One Battle After Another, especially since I have it winning directing and an acting win for Tiana Taylor. I think this is probably going to be an easy sweep. But I would not be surprised if Marty Supreme does take this one. And now we are into the Motion Picture Drama category. Out of 3,539 prediction status, Sinners just jumped up to 29%, is now the favorite to predict at 48%, with Hamnet at 42%, which went down to 33%. With Sentimental Value at 7th, which went up to 4, It Was Just an Accident at 2, Frankenstein at 1, and The Secret Agent at 1, which went up to 1%. So it is pretty much the battle between Sinners and Hamnet. I'm going to go with the safer bet and say Hamnet on this one. I think the reason why a lot of people are now jumping onto Sinners is because Hamnet did not do well at Critics' Choice and only won for Jessie Buckley. But I want to see if it is showing that Hamnet is number 3 for Best Picture at the Oscars. Or maybe our summer Oscar frontrunner, because I do think it's going to be our BAFTA frontrunner. Because it's a big British Shakespearean movie, and we know how the BAFTAs love Shakespeare. But yeah, I almost could have said Sinners, but since I already have it giving it to the Dumb Category Award as their big prize, I'm going to go with the safer bet and say Hamnet. So that kind of wraps up for the predictions for the Golden Globes. The next time for the next video in the award season, it will not actually be probably until the following weekend when I would do my final Oscar nomination predictions. Because we basically got almost, after the Globes, we basically got almost a week and a half until the nominations come out. So that will be the next award show prediction video when I predict all 24 categories.